Good evening. My name is Ronald Clarke. It's a blessing, it's a privilege and an honor to be here. Special thanks to the Acting Prime Minister, to the Attorney General, President of the medical professionals and the CMO, and all of those in the audience here this evening. I wish to express my disappointment at the three events so far, because from what I understand, this was supposed to focus on mandatory vaccine and testing, mandatory testing, particularly coming out of comments and concerns which spoke to the mandatory testing and vaccination of employees. I appreciate the medical brilliance and eloquence of all of those who've put forth their submissions, and what this essentially has been to date, until tonight, is a stand-home clinic, as opposed to an exercise in dealing with the crux of the matter that was raised. So I express my disappointment in the unavailability of that opinion. But I'm sure we'll get the opportunity to talk about that very soon. I'll focus on that and acknowledge the work that the medical professionals are doing. Medical professionals are being medical professionals. Politicians are being politicians. I am not vaccinated. I will not be taking a COVID-19 vaccine. My children are not vaccinated. My children, 4 of them, over 18 years of age, 28, 23, 21, 19, and 12 years of age. My father went to school here. I went to school here. My 12-year-old is going to school here. I will not be giving permission for her to be taking a COVID-19 vaccine. I don't have much time, so I won't talk about MMR and all of those things. I'll look at this situation here. Last week, while watching, Minister Abrams corrected a statement he made earlier at one of the sessions relative to recourse and liability. And when I heard him initially, I said, well, that's not entirely correct. I'm sure that if it's indicated to him, he will make the correction, and he made the correction. By the way, I have no political axe to grind. I voted for the BLP in 2018, 2013, 2003, 1999, 1994. Therefore, you'll see that the majority of my support politically has been for the Barbados Labour Party, but I am not a member. And neither as an unvaccinated person am I a second-class citizen of this country. The issue with the presentation so far, and understandably so, is that they go in one direction, as if unvaccinated people don't exist, except to be told, get the vaccine. We work, we contribute, we produce, we create. We are intelligent, even if we choose not to take the vaccine. We are responsible, even if we choose not to take the vaccine. So this talk about us being a threat to vaccinated persons is unfortunate. And that's the social climate in which we are operating today. And there are those who are hopeful that a decision can be made to invade my body without my permission. That cannot work in Barbados. What was telling about the statement by the minister, which was a correct and true statement, is no fault, no liability means that if you take the vaccine, you are at risk. The same way that unvaccinated people are at risk. As far as I'm aware, no liability, no fault means if anything happens to you in the future, I'm not talking about the first jab, second jab, my arm sore, got a little headache, bellyache, diarrhea. I understand that in the first couple of months. But we're talking long term because there are unknowns. The doctors cannot tell you emphatically that nothing will happen. It's impossible for them and the manufacturers to say that. That is why the condition of no fault, no liability, no accountability and responsibility is sought before these vaccines are distributed to any country. But let me tell you something. your risk may come at a cost. Your refusal to take a vaccine may come at a cost. But what's in it for the manufacturers? There are a couple of things that have not been brought to any of the national discussions on COVID-19 and vaccination. There is a business side. And if you want people to be informed about making their choices about whether to take a vaccine or not, and let me stress, I am pro-choice. If you want to take a vaccine, you take the vaccine. You have a right to make that choice. My sister's taking it, my brother's taking it, my best friend's taking it, my cousin's taking it. That's their choice. But let me tell you why it's interesting that all around the world, these vaccines are distributed. Pfizer, who we heard about tonight, says that its first half of the 2021 financial year sales was $7.8 billion in the last 3 months. So much so that Pfizer had to upgrade its annual forecast from $26 billion to $33.5 billion in vaccine revenue alone.
There you go.
Not right now. Not right now. This means, therefore, the forecast earnings on shares have gone from between $3.55 to $3.65 to $3.95 to $4.05 per share.
Sorry, Mr. Clark,
Yeah.
we need to ask you to
I'm going to say that.
Consider
Okay.
it, all
Okay.
right?
So I'm making the point that there is a financial incentive, not for the government, but for the manufacturers. All of the risk and all of the liability for your entire lifetime will be at you. So employers may feel encouraged that if there's no fault on the part of the distributor, and there's no fault on the part of the government for allowing access, well, maybe there's no responsibility on my part to demand or insist that workers be vaccinated. I say that is not the case, cannot be. And I'm sure that if it comes to that, there will be those who will make that clear. But let me just say this as I wrap up. There's so much to say, and perhaps if invited to another forum, government or otherwise, I can share that. I need the government to understand that we all want to see Barbados prosper and do well and heal. I'm not anti-vaccine, but I am pro-choice. And I believe that and there are many vaccinated persons who support the position of pro-choice. Do not give the impression that people who are vaccinated do not support the right for us to say no. The same way that I support the right for them to say yes. We must understand that there's a lot of money circulating amongst the unvaccinated population. Business owners need to understand that. Those who have products and services need to recognize the revenue that we generate and the money that we spend. Money that, if forced to, can circulate within that vast majority of the population who are not vaccinated. And let me make this point. I've already told you my political history. But I would like to hear the members of the government who are not comfortable with this possibility, this discussion or thought of mandatory vaccination, to speak out. To speak out and show that all the revolutionary fire that you've shown before, all of the passion that you've shown for the predominantly black working class of these people before, that you stand up when the time comes and represent them once and for all. And finally, you should know that a vote against a politician is more dangerous and impactful than a big rock.
Mr. Clark.